And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I'm taking a look at a small card game called Epic. Epic! Well, I mean, it should look epic, but it's small. However, I played the first game these guys did, Star Realms, so that's interesting. And I heard that this one was a bit closer to Magic the Gathering. The designers of this game were fans of Magic the Gathering, so let's see. I like Magic the Gathering, so I'm hoping I like this one. Each player gets 30 cards to play this game. Now the game comes with a deck here of 120. Now what you can do, there are several ways. You can give someone 30 cards randomly from the deck, or you can take all the cards of one of the four types. There are four types of cards. You see the red, yellow, green, and blue. You can take all 30 of that type, or you can do a draft. Now I didn't play this game with multiplayers because you need more than one set to do that. But if you're drafting like with two players, you'll turn over four cards like this. One player gets to choose one of the cards that they want, then the other person gets to choose two, and then the other person gets the last one. And you keep doing that until each player has 30 cards. You're going to shuffle your deck, and you get a handful of 5 cards. You can mulligan that if you like, but then you lose life when you do that. Each player starts at 30 life. The game does not include anything to keep track of life, so you have to provide your own counters to do that. The object of the game is to make your opponent run out of 30 decks, or where they can't draw from their deck. Now, there are two different types of cards in the deck. There are champions. These are both examples of champion cards. Champions have a cost up in the corner, which is going to be 0 or 1. They are one of the 4 different types, and they may have other special abilities as the game goes by. So you see, for example, this guy has a loyalty 2, which means when I play him, I can show 2 other red cards from my hand, and then I can blitz, which means I can play that. He can come out on the table and attack on the same turn. This guy has breakthrough, which means when he does damage to the opponent, anything that if the opponent blocks, any extra damage it goes over. And these are different special abilities. This guy here can be exhausted, or whatever the term is. We're just going to say tap in this game because that's what everyone else says. So you can tap this guy to put a target champion from any discard pile into play under your control. So he has a special ability. And they also have attack and defense. You also have events. Events also will have a cost in the top corner. Each event gives you a special ability. So for example, this event here simply lets you gain 10 health. And then this wolf companion here, the target championship, a target champion gets +2 attack, +2 defense this turn. And you can pay a gold later on to recall this. When a card leaves your discard pile, you can put a wolf token in play too. And the game comes with some different tokens. So here's a wolf token that you can put out. So there's different types of cards that are champions and events. At the beginning of your turn, each player has 1 gold. You can pay up to 1 gold's worth of cards in front of you. So I could play Wolf Companion because that's free, and I could play Burrowing Worm because that costs 1. So you're going to be putting cards. Now when you put a card down, that turn that you put down a champion, you can't attack your opponent unless it has Blitz. But once turns go by and it's already in front of you, you can attack your opponent. When you attack your opponent, you will attack them. You'll say who you're attacking with, and you will tap them. Your opponent will decide who they're going to block with. They will turn that person completely upside down. They're not tapped when you block, but they can't block again that turn, just in case something would cause that to happen. And then they will do damage to each other. So 18 here would kill this person. This dinosaur would die, and he would do 10 damage to him, which you would keep track of, but the damage goes away at the beginning of each turn. That would only matter if someone else attacked or somehow could do damage to the wild worm. And that's basically, the game is going to go back and forth. If you attack someone and they have no one to defend with, then the damage is done directly to them. They will lose damage, and if they lose all 30 life, then the game is over. So before we go to my opinion, I'm just going to show you some interesting cards from the deck. We have this one here, the Plentiful Dead. The Plentiful Dead lets you put a zombie token into play. Like I said, The game comes with different types of cards that are tokens. You're not limited to these tokens, but you could, you can use other tokens. They just give them to you. So this zombie token is a 2/2. Here's a crystal golem, which has ambush, which means you can play that on your opponent's turn. So they might do something, and since you have 1 gold to spend even on your opponent's turn, I could play him. And he's untargetable, which means he can't be targeted. Break says break this card, draw 2 cards. Break is just basically putting something into your discard pile. Here's Feint, which lets you draw 2 cards and remove all your attacking or blocking champions from battles and prepare them. Here's Split event. Draw 2 cards or deal 9 damage to each champion. Or here, deal 1 damage to target player and to each champion they control. Draw a card, recycle, putting it back in your deck. Or, if it's your turn, break all champions. Here's a Warrior Golem who has a loyalty 2. It means blitz. Here's an Ice Drake who is airborne, which means they can only be defended against by other airborne creatures. Here you can draw 2 cards or make one of your champions unbreakable. They basically can't die that turn, and they're plus 10 attack. Here you can draw 2 cards or banish all champions. Here's Kong, who has Tribute. Tribute basically is a special ability that happens when you play it. So when I play Kong, he does 13 damage to a target champion. Here's a Wild Event. Deals 6 damage divided any way you choose to, up to 6 targets. But I can pay a gold to recall that, which means I can put it back into my hand from the discard pile if I pay a gold. Here's a Time Walker, who if I have loyalty 2, returns all other champions to their owner's hands. Here's Medusa, who can be ambush. You can play it. Here's a Word of Summoning, which lets you summon a demon token into play. A noble unicorn has ambush, tribute, and you can draw a card. Here's another airborne creature, an angel hunting raptors. And so there's really lots of different cards. I'm just showing you kind of an example of the different cards that are in the game. All right, let's get to the final thoughts. Okay, let's start out by saying that I do like this game, but it is not without its problems. First of all, I wonder if the box... I was never a big fan of the cards in Star Realm for keeping track of health. I almost always substitute my own tokens. But not everyone wants to do that, and I think maybe... I don't know, putting it in this, oh, look how small the box is. I think a bigger box with some nice tokens would have done this game some niceties. The game is certainly, rip-off is a strong word, but this game certainly owes a lot to Magic, right? It has everything in it. It has the flying, except here they call it something different. It has the trample, and here they call it something different. It has tapping, and here they call it something different. There are some different things in this game. There is the tribute, but even Magic have when this is summoned, and this game also has summoning sickness. There's some differences. There's a little bit of differences in how attacking and defending goes, but it's very similar. It even has 4 colors, which have very different feel to them. Now, where the game highly differentiates from Magic is in how things are summoned. You have 0s and 1s, and the 1s are incredibly powerful stuff, and the 0s are good. But the deck building rules very nicely do not allow you to fill your whole deck with 0s, so you can just go and play all your cards. So I do actually like the deck building rules. I like the drafting in this game, and I highly recommend you do that because taking a 30 card of random cards is just not that interesting. But this game is essentially, if you played Magic the Gathering with the most powerful cards, and you could pull every single one of them off. So, I am what they call a Timmy player. I love to play big stuff. I will lose in Magic the Gathering because I am so trying to get out this one giant creature, and I love doing that in games. If there's a way to get some massive thing, I will do it. So I'm very pleased when I open this game and it's like, yeah, I can play this thing on turn 1. Most powerful card in deck, I can play it. Now, I can only play 1, but on turn 2, I can play it again. And on your turn, I might be able to play something. And boom, boom, boom. And then you have these huge things. Ah, boom, I'm a giant warrior. Here's a card that makes your guy go away. Oh, here's a card that does that. And it's this back and forth. And I don't know that I've played a game of this that's gone longer than 10 minutes. I mean, they're really fast games because every card is so powerful that eventually someone's going to blow up and make the other person lose. Now, that is not a bad thing for me. I really like it. I like the back and forth. I like attacking with the big characters. I like the drafting that's included with the game. But I know it's not going to be for everybody. And I think that some people are going to be kind of like, oh, wow, I just have all this power. And they'll be kind of disenfranchised by the fact that it's playing big stuff right away. And when it happens to you, you can be like, oh, that card's way better than the one I have. Well, not really, but it will feel that way. It's fun to play these big, awesome, powerful cards. Not quite so fun necessarily to receive them in return. So it's an interesting game. I think it's almost kind of a niche game. I think there's going to be people who really like it. I'm one who says, yeah, let's go into it. But even I don't want to play this all the time because I feel like some of the strategy, that this is more kind of this is a very tactical game. I suppose you could build a deck, right? Like really work hard to build a deck. But I don't necessarily want to do that. This game should be, designed to be played out of the box. And it is, and you can get another one. I don't want to buy multiple boxes and packs of cards and stuff. So because of that, it's kind of like, what do I have? All right, boom. Oh, you did that? Boom. And don't get me wrong, there's some tactical decisions to make, and I can block this and do that. But for the most part, it's more of just a giant fist fight. And instead of, short jabs and you're trying to gauge your opponent, no, you're just hitting them with everything you have and hope that you can take them out before you. I'm okay with that. And sometimes I'm really in the mood for that. And for that, I really do like Epic. But I can see how others will be turned off by that. They want more strategy in the game, or they're frustrated because they get blown apart, by their opponent. So this is definitely not on the level of Star Realms. I think Star Realms was just an amazing game that did really well, but this one is fun. But you got to go into it with the right mindset and say, hey, this is kind of like Magic, and then takes all the rules of Magic and then tramples on them while it's trampling on you. That's kind of fun for me. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.